Hello and welcome everyone. This is Type V3 with a robot Damashii review of the G-Self, the lead mobile suit from the most incomprehensible Gundam series to date, Reconguista in G. Okay, so straight away, this figure looks fantastic, and regardless of your opinion surrounding the actual Gundam design, there's no doubting the level of quality that the team over at Bandai have put into this toy. Whether it's the athletic proportions, the softer than traditional colors, or even the subtle yet sharp surface sculpting, it's all been faithfully brought over from the animation model. Nothing seems out of place or missing. The paint apps are crisp and even in application. The yellow head Vulcans are the sole area where things get a tad sloppy, but with their small size, it's hardly a large distraction, especially as the G-Self's glaring gold optics will steal your attention. Of course, nothing's more striking than the heavy use of clear blue lenses throughout the figure, which are made even more impressive by the silver paint that's laid beneath them. It's an awesome effect and one that just elevates the entire Gundam's visuals, especially in lower lit displays. At 5 inches tall, the G-Self is the average robot Damashii height. However, it's also almost identical in size to the equivalent 1/144th scale high-grade kit. So if modeling isn't your thing, this action figure makes for a perfect alternative. Articulation on the G-Self starts with a double ball jointed neck, so one at the base, one on the head. Together it gives you a good amount of range in many directions. Tilting is the weakest point, but it's not the biggest issue. I will say these things here, very sharp, and they're made of very hard plastic. They could feel like if it took a shelf fall, these would snap, but I'm pretty confident in them. As for the torso, you have a ball joint at the waist and a hinge at the mid-torso. Together, they offer a decent amount of range. It's not the best, but it gets you enough to, I guess, pull off good emotive poses. For the arms, you're looking at a basic ball joint connection to the torso that's also attached on a swing out polycap, so it works pretty well. The shoulder pad is on its own hinge. You got the outwards motion of the arm. It goes 360 should you choose it. Bicep swivel. Interestingly, a single jointed elbow. It gets some pretty decent range though, so I'm not going to complain. And then a basic ball joint at the wrist. Below the waist are where things get interesting. So first off, on the hip skirts, these front ones are actually connected on a barbell joint, so you can slide them down first and then swing them out. The side ones are more of your standard ball joint, but they get out of the way. For the hips, what you have here is a ball joint that's connected on a hinge that will swing down, so you can pull the whole mechanism down just to get a little bit more depth in your leg here. But more than that, this entire hip skirt section, this whole mechanism here, from this skirt to this skirt all the way around here, is one bar. And I don't know if you can see that up in there, but the whole thing will also hinge slightly forward so that you can get the high kicks working really high. In my experience, it works pretty well. The sides do like to pop off whenever you try and do it, but it's pretty cool. You do have a bicep swivel, or sorry, a thigh swivel, which works out quite well. There's a single joint at the knee, and that gets you some decent range, but there's a cool trick here. This back half of the armor leg here, or the armor panel, I'm going to just move this back. This actually slides upwards so that you can get slightly more bend in there. Pretty cool. It's a subtle thing, but I enjoy little tricks like this. The side thrusters here, these can just swivel around, or you can just pop them off should you choose. There's independent ankle armor, which is pretty standard. You have a hinge that's connected to a ball joint for the ankle, so that gets you all the movement you want. You do have a slight toe hinge, but what's also interesting is you have a heel hinge. So together, what you can do is get some cool flight poses going on, or you can just have really stable feet. It's altogether far more complex going on in here, but it's all things I enjoy. The G-Self boasts great articulation with no apparent limitations. While it doesn't have the largest amount of range compared to other modern robot Damashii releases, it certainly has the smoothest posing experience. There's a decent inclusion of accessories with the G-Self. Other than the already attached fists, there's open palms, gripping hands, and trigger finger hands, with those last two obviously having some weapons associated with them. First up are a pair of beam sabers. They've got a nice sleek design that I enjoy and are held by the figure well enough. The clear pink beam effects can be removed, however there is no place to store the hilts on the Gundam. For the trigger finger hands, there's the beam rifle. The design is slick and it's also been excellently painted. The G-Self has no problems holding it, though again like with the beam sabers, there's no option for storing it on the body. Next up is the beam shield. It looks great and its paint apps are sharp. The included adapter lets you mount the shield on either the side or the back of the figure's arm. Nothing new to longtime Gundam collectors, still, it's effective. The figure's largest accessory comes in the form of the G-Self's atmospheric pack. Despite its size, it's fairly basic all around. Visually, it's nothing special, though I do appreciate how all the vents have been painted in black. Functionally, it plugs into the Gundam's back, and then you can spread the wings as well as adjust the vertical angle of the entire backpack. Furthermore, if you want aerial displays, a Damashii stage adapter is also included to assist with this. Altogether, the atmospheric pack serves its purpose well enough. Now, while I don't have many positive things to say about Reconguista and G, I will admit that I believe the lead mobile suit, the G-Self, is one of the best Gundam designs in years, and this Robot Damashii release delivers a perfect representation of it. Visually, I think it's stunning from every aspect. Some may argue it lacks panel lining or markings, but that's never really been this toy line's MO. Articulation is great, yet more importantly, it remains a smooth and enjoyable experience. The accessories are sleek in design, if not a little basic in function, still they're far from disappointing. As an overall package then, the Robot Damashii G-Self is awesome. I suppose the only thing that may deter a recommendation is the price. At double the cost of the equivalent high grade, this may seem a bit pricey to those solely seeking a display piece. On the other hand, this is a fully painted toy. It's not as fragile as a model kit, and above all, if playing and posing with your figures is what you value most, then I can see no alternative to the Robot Damashii G-Self. But that's all for me. Thanks for watching, and let's keep the trend of capital G Gundams continuing, because I've got a couple more just burning to shine in the spotlight.